May not only holds one of the most important days of the year, Mother's Day, but it's also Women's Health Month. This makes it a perfect time for women to make sure they're doing the right things to keep themselves healthy. Here to talk about how women can maintain their health is Baptist Medical Group board-certified nurse practitioner Joyce Nichols. Joyce, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Well, to get us started, tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience as a family medicine nurse practitioner.
Well, I've been an RN for 30 years, a nurse practitioner for about 15. I work at a busy family practice office in Pace for Baptist Medical Group. Been married to Stan Nichols for about 30 years, and I have two beautiful young men who attend UWF.
Well, great. Well, for those who may not be familiar, you mentioned the two different certifications. Explain a little bit the difference and what that means in terms of care.
Well, as a nurse practitioner in Florida, I mean, it's different state to state, but in Florida I can write prescriptions, diagnose, provide acute care and preventive health care, and that's a lot about what we'll be talking about today, preventive health care.
Okay. Well, in your field, you must regularly see a lot of women, and especially like for women over the age of 50, what are some common conditions that you encounter?
Well, you know, a lot of times in our 40s and 50s, our family history starts to catch up with us. So it's important to know what your family history is. So if you have the high blood pressure in your family, you need to know, get screened for blood pressure, for cholesterol, for diabetes, breast cancer, colon cancer, those kinds of things. A lot of things you can get away with in your 20s and 30s, but in our 40s and 50s, things start to show up. So knowing your family history is very important.
Mm-hmm. What are some common questions that women over 50 may come to y'all about? Well,
they do want to know what screening tests need to be done, and that's a lot of what we talk about at an annual exam. So those things we cover. When a person comes to me for an exam, say for the annual exam or a wellness exam at 50, some of the things we'll talk about, I mean, first of all, we'll do blood work to check cholesterol, check glucose, that's checking for diabetes. We'll do liver function tests, kidney function tests. I check a vitamin D level. That's the year you get your first screening colonoscopy. It's a screening test for colon cancer. Mammograms are to be done annually at that time. If a woman's menopausal, then we do a DEXA scan that checks for osteoporosis. I always encourage everyone, not just women, but to get flu shots annually. At 50, you're also eligible to get pneumonia vaccines and shingles vaccines.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Well, besides, screenings are very, very important in identifying something, but what are some practical things that people can do to maintain good health, what are your thoughts on diet, exercise, and all those type of things that we can do maybe to be preventative?
Well, we talk about that all day long, and it's almost like I'm beating a dead horse, but I think it's all about prevention, all about staying physically active. If you are a 70-year-old or an 80-year-old who's not stayed physically active, that's when people start falling. If you're weak and you've fallen and you can't get up, it's terrible. And that's when people start to dwindle if they've fallen. So if you're not physically active when you're 40, 50, 60, then you're not going to have strength. So all day long, I talk about staying physically active. So you've got to set time aside and you don't have to run marathons, walk. You need to walk and eat healthy. People ask me very often, what kind of diet should I be on? And I don't think one thing is right for everyone, but in general, just from a practical standpoint, I tell people to eat whole foods. And by whole foods, I mean very few processed foods. And just from a practical standpoint, if it comes in a box or a bag or a drive-through window, probably bad for you. I tell people if it grew up out of this ground or used to walk on this earth, if God made it and you have to cut it up and chop it and prepare it, it's better for you. But that takes time. Right. So you have to set aside time to prepare things. And so from a practical standpoint, you need to maybe wake up a little bit earlier, set time aside, get off the couch, turn that TV off, and set time aside to be healthy. And it makes a difference. Well, you'll lose weight and you'll feel better in the long run.
That's very good advice and a very easy way to put the diet question out there. Are there any types of exercise that people may or should or should not avoid, say, as they get older?
Well, I think that's very much an individual thing. And again, it's all about prevention, and you need to talk with your healthcare provider about that. I think it's all about where you're coming from, what you've been doing up to that point. I mean, I take care of some 80-year-olds that are dancing still, but some who can't get out of a chair. I have students with me very often, and one of the very first things they notice about my practice is that there are some very, very young 70 and 80-year-olds, but some very old 40-year-olds. And some of it is about bad luck and family history, but very much of it is about the lifestyle a person has led. So you do have a choice in how you age, and a lot of it has to do with how we treat our bodies, how we eat, how physically active we stay.
That's very good practical advice. You were talking about, the preparation of the meals and taking the time. A lot of people are working longer and in great shape, so there's no reason why they shouldn't, work if they so choose. What's some practical advice for how working women might be able to incorporate not only the cooking part, but the exercise part, and make that work-life balance that would allow them to maintain in the workforce, but also address some of these health needs that we need to look at as we age?
Well, it's not easy. I mean, it's a challenge for me. I work too much. You have to get up earlier. You have to turn that TV off. I mean, you literally have to set your alarm clock a few minutes earlier. You don't have to join a gym. I mean, if your neighborhood is safe, you can put your sneakers on and hit the pavement. Some people are fortunate enough to have a lunch break. They can do that. I don't. I have to set my alarm clock earlier. And like I said, turn the television off. Your spouse can help you cook. I mean, if you work long hours, it's a team effort.
Right. It does go back to a lot of time management.
It's time management. It definitely is time management.
I know we need to make our appointments on time or in advance, and really make sure that we're not skipping those wellness visits as you referred to.
At our practice, I mean, we're very fortunate. Our patients, I think we work very hard to accommodate them. We're open 7 to 7. We have most of our patients can get in within 24 hours. We have same-day appointments. We're open a half a day on Saturday, so we try really hard to accommodate that way.
Well, great. Well, before we go, is there any other piece of advice you would like to give to our female viewers out there about healthy habits or lifestyle?
Well, I think it's all about prevention. Definitely stay physically active, eat healthy, and an ounce of prevention. As I have aged in this job, I really, really have become a believer in prevention.
Great advice.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.